So, Too Many Cooks. This was written, created, and directed by Casper Kelly, who's worked on things like Squidbillies, all sorts of different Adult Swim shows. He came up with it. It actually took him about a year to do all the posts, and it's only 11 minutes. What I find interesting about this, one, it was long ago enough that I don't think Adult Swim either had a YouTube channel or weren't as active, and someone else posted it, and that's how it initially became viral. And I remember when I first watched it because when I started, as it kept going, I was like, when does this ever end? Like, it just felt like eternal in a way, in the strange, like once it gets to the sci-fi elements and stuff, we're just like, what the fuck is going on? But it basically starts as Too Many Cooks. It's like this song, it goes Too Many Cooks, whoa, and it starts as like a Full House era step-by-step sort of thing, and then it just slowly like devolves. There's like too many characters, the parents are making out with the wrong people, there's like way too many things, and then a killer played by William Tarkarowski, I think, comes and like slashes people and stuff, and then he's in the background, he's there too much, and you sort of like lose your sense of reality as it starts to break itself down. He starts going after a girl, and her kind of actor name that's in those logos in the yellow text that was in Full House, it follows her, and he finds her because of the text, and then he's like eating them, and it becomes a sci-fi show and a cop show and all these things. And the song Too Many Cooks, it just keeps changing and evolving and devolving and stuff like that. There's so many different theories on this, and I have two ideas on this. Is that I was watching this and taking a lot of notes, and then I went, wait a minute, this sucks. This is not the experience with Too Many Cooks. And I restarted it, and I just watched it throughout, because I think part of Too Many Cooks, and I've talked about this with a lot of things, but I very much think with this, is the experience of Too Many Cooks. It's of watching it and having it evolve and go from one thing to the other, and you have to watch it from beginning and the end, and going through and deciphering it is not the magic of it. The magic of it is going from one end to the other and finding yourself through it. By the way, I love Smurf. I love the Roseanne reference, all that stuff. Although I do think the only time it becomes a little too Adult Swim is when you have all the William Tarkarowski or whatever, a million of them with knives in the sci-fi thing, felt very like right out of Aqua Teen. But other than that, it's my only time where I'm like, the other times it's like its own weird Adult Swim thing. That's when I'm like, you went too typical almost. But just that one shot. But like, I was a kid who, in the summers, I would just watch TV from when I woke up. So when I went to sleep, my mom hates when I bring this up, but I would just like watch an incessant amount of television. And I would just like find sitcoms and shows, and like if I was home from school, that was like all I would do. It's like no one would let their kids do that now to the degree I was doing it. It was just like a constant swarm of TV. And there's a Weird Al song actually that's a parody of a Soul Asylum song. I don't remember the Soul Asylum song at all, but it's called Syndicated Incorporated. It sort of gets the vibe of that. This reminds me of that, because the utter, especially when I was older, utter surrealism of, to that point where you're just like in this like world and you start questioning your taste, and you're like, well, I don't want a sitcom. I've watched 7 sitcoms and they're all the fucking same, and you almost like blend them together in your head. Like, you can't tell the difference between Danny Tanner and, you know, what's going on Family Ties or something. You're like, who is the mom? Who is this? And then you're watching a sci-fi show, and I almost think what the killer is a changing taste of a viewer who is just watching incessant TV. And you almost like, I'll flip over to a cop show, I'll flip back, and you'll see sometimes, because you watched enough, like there weren't as many things of television, you just like, or as many actors, you'd see an actor pop up in a couple of them as a supporting role, or they'd have a bigger role in one in the same day, and your mind, or my mind at the time, would almost feel like you're watching like parts of history disconnected from one another. I also remember like losing the plot in these. Like, if you ever watched that show, MTV's Undressed, and they would flip between plot lines. If I changed channels during MTV's Undressed, I would start changing channels and go back to like certain plot lines, but I would forget, like, was a plot line on a channel or was it on MTV? It would be very confusing. And I feel like this is what Too Many Cooks is. I think everyone's coming up with these weird, insane theories, and like, fine, whatever. I just think it is the surrealism of watching too much stuff and like slightly sort of losing your sanity through having your best way to relate to the human experience through people's fake presentations of that human experience. And you almost want to destroy it, you want to rip it apart. You want to say there's too many cooks involved in this and there isn't anything real. But when you come out of it, at the end of this thing, what do you see at the end? You see him accepting all of it together, accepting the nonsense, accepting, like he's gone and he's like I hate these sitcoms, I have to kill these people, I have to watch sci-fi, I have to watch cop shows. And at the very end of it, he's accepting all of it. He is become part of it, and he's accepted the reality of the falsity of this perception of reality, basically. That's honestly what I think Too Many Cooks is. Also, Lars von Trier as a pie is amazing, and that guy as a coat was cool too. I recommend the Weird Al song Syndicated Incorporated. It's like one of my favorite Weird Al songs, and I don't like Soul Asylum at all. Really, Runaway Train, hey, it was a good public service thing, but this is, I really do like the surrealism of this. I really do like the strangeness of this. What I like about this is I like one thing animation does that film is not as interested in overall, which is why I think Adult Swim is so surreal and strange, is that animation believes in like anything is possible through animation. It has this very pure experiment, like in animation, even in Mickey Mouse shorts, there's the idea of experimentation and blending things and blending ideas and doing it in a mainstream level, which film is like only does it if it's like an art house thing. In Too Many Cooks, it's like, what are the possibilities we could do with this? How far can we push it? How far can we melt it? How far can we mesh it all together? And does it mean anything to watch all this together? Does it say something about reality and sanity? Or should we accept it? It's like, should we accept our own fate? Should we accept this is how we relate to things? And is it insane? It isn't crazy. And I think making the viewer, in my dumbass theory or whatever, the killer shows like, who is he really killing? Is he killing himself? Is he losing his reality? Or is him accepting that a good thing or a bad thing? And I don't think Too Many Cooks answers that. And I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if there is. But you sort of do have to accept that if you're doing that. And then you sit there and you just look and you're singing Too Many Cooks. And I think in a sense, this thing could loop over and over again and still have the same meaning. But I love where it takes you, and the experience of it is one of the great. I do think, like Ryan Johnson apparently called it one of the great short films, and I do think it is because it says more about our relationship with media and relating to things that are not what our reality is and not presented to be reality, but something we need that sense of reality in to relate to for them to sell it to us. And is capitalism and commercialism, should that be how we spend our times, but is essentially product? Are we finding real life or real understanding through it, or are we just always, shifting through the product of everything and trying to like kill it and get through it? I don't know, but Too Many Cooks, man. Too Many Cooks.